करवावहे तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः कपिलाय नमस्तस्मै येनाविद्योदधो जगदिमग्ने कारुण्यात् सांख्यमयी नौरिव विहिता प्रतरणाय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः In 64th Karika, we have discussed the practice of knowledge. Evam tattvabhyasat. Here the tattvas are the principles of Sankhya philosophy, which we have been already discussed in all these karikas. The 25 tattvas. So with those tattvas, nasti name naham iti aparishesham. All what the misunderstanding took place because of ignorance. So in that context, so these tattvas should be separated. Therefore, nasti or nasmi, these are not belonging to me. So like a neti is not me, is not mine. Tanname, they are not attached. So this is a practice. So tattvabhyasa it is said, the practice of tattvas. So in Sankhya Sutra there is a word tattvabhyasat nedi nediri tyaga viveka siddhi. So 375 it says, so nedi nediri tyagas. So not this, not this. So whatever is coming to the mind or connected with the mind, all those are not me. So with this tattvabhyasa, ultimately the sadhaka will get the final discriminative knowledge, final discrimination of prakriti. So that is the knowledge. So there ends the practice of sadhana. So that is what it is said, eka rupena vimochayati. The prakriti releases the purusha by knowledge alone. The knowledge will release the purusha. So this is the practice of knowledge. So aparishesham, the final emancipation or whatever we say. Here the final aloneness of Purusha, the absolute salvation of Purusha. So it is attained after this. So Vishuddham kevalam utpadyate jnanam. So this knowledge is pure because it has its original form. Whichever has its original form is called pure. If that object is mixed with other object and it is having the other objects or other characters which is not originally there, then it is called ashuddha, unpure. The pure means it has its own nature. Now the knowledge has its own nature, as the discrimination. Whatever in between the experiences came, it was unpure. It was not pure because it was polluted by other experiments of experiences of mind and objects outside, sense objects. So therefore it was not pure. Now it become purified, and then the purest knowledge brings the salvation. It means the aloneness of Purusha. So that has been discussed there. So this is a practice of sadhana. Now in 65th Karika, the stage of Purusha after release. So Purusha has been released by this practice of separation. Now after release, what would happen to Purusha as well as Prakriti? For Sankhya, Prakriti and Purusha both are eternal. Therefore, there is no merging or not changing their character. They will remain as it is. Now, Purusha is known as pure consciousness. Hence, Purusha will remain as consciousness. And Prakriti is known as knowledge, discrimination and discriminative knowledge and all other functions. But all other functions are stopped because this particular individual is not anymore attached or interested to those functions, for the 7 functions, the virtue and vice and all those. Therefore, now Prakriti will be remained as discriminative knowledge alone, in the form of discriminative knowledge. So discriminative knowledge is the purest form of sattva. So sattva is there in the Prakriti. Sattva is a part of that. And according to Sankhya's system, now this cannot be avoided, because after this there is no function or no changes or no practice, no sadhana, nothing. It's completed. It's a final sadhana. So then the final stage, Purusha will be known as pure consciousness, unattached, inactive. So that is known. And then this knowledge, which is helping to know the Purusha, will remain forever. And this knowledge is not the Purusha. So we should not think the knowledge is Purusha here. In Vedanta philosophy, knowledge is also Purusha. The consciousness is not different from the knowledge itself. The nature of consciousness itself is knowledge, that we call as the original knowledge or the potentiality of knowledge, the Kevala Jnana. But here, this knowledge, the discriminative knowledge, is not part of Purusha. It is the part of Prakriti. So it will stay back, remains as the part of Prakriti, and the Purusha is known as pure consciousness. Therefore, there is no chance of union or misunderstanding or superimposition or confusion, nothing. Why? Because this discriminative knowledge will remain as it is. That is what they say. If it doesn't remain, then what would happen? Because again the misunderstanding or other form of action can come. So this discriminative knowledge, which is final, will not allow other functions to take place in the nature, in the Prakriti. So this is the final stage. This is where Vedanta contradict with this Sankhya. Because Vedanta says the consciousness itself will remain, and the origin of consciousness is knowledge itself. It's not vritti jnana, it's called swarupa jnana. Swarupa jnana or kevala jnana is the characteristics, the nature of the Purusha. So therefore there is no need for any other entity as Prakriti or any other entity. So this difference is there. Therefore, in final stage, Vedanta has one Advaitam, and here they have two. Because by Sankhya's philosophy, if the discriminative knowledge is not there, then there is a chance of other functions, because the Prakriti has still holding the nature of changes, because nature itself is change. So it can bring, the gunas can function. So chalam guna vrittam and all those. So to make this statement understandable, they made all these arguments. The before and all Karikas, whatever we have seen, these Karikas came to finalize this point. So that has been finalized in 64th sloka. Now 65 says, Tena nivritta prasavamarthavashat saptarupa vinivrittam Prakritim pashyati purushaha prekshagavadavasthita swasthaha. So tena, by the means of knowledge, the aforesaid knowledge, what is in the 64th sloka. So by that, nivritta prasavam, whose prolific nature has been ceased off. Nivritta prasavam. Nivritta. Prasava. Prasava means the which produces prolific knowledge, which become ceased off. The production has been stopped. The Prakriti cannot produce anymore. So tena nivritta prasavam arthavashat saptarupa vinivrittam. Arthavashat, by the power of knowledge. Because this final knowledge, discriminative knowledge remains, and in this stage where the knowledge remains, now we can remember that here is no chittavritti nirodha. The chittavritti nirodha is not mentioned here. Chittavritti nirodha is a stage of sadhana of the mind, chitta. After that, one should get this discriminative knowledge. The discriminative knowledge would be the final one. The chitta nirodha is a final stage of sadhana, preparation or qualification for discriminative knowledge, to get discriminative knowledge. So once you get discriminative knowledge, it is not mentioned there is a chittavritti nirodha is necessary. No, it is not necessary. It's a preparation. So in this stage, by the power of this knowledge, discriminative knowledge, now Prakriti has been made unproductive. So Prakriti's the potentiality is there, but the potentiality doesn't work. Now Prakriti is improductive. Therefore it is called Nivritta Prasava. Why? Because this knowledge will not allow Prakriti to produce anymore. That is why it is stopped. Sapta Rupa Vinivritta. Hence, Prakriti will release or release all the 7 forms. Sapta Rupa Vinivritta. Because by these 7 forms, there was samsara, transmigrations and happiness and all the whatever we experienced was because of these 7 forms. Virtue, all this passion, impassionist, all those. So if those 7 forms are stopped or released, then ultimately the knowledge will remain. So Sapta Rupa Vinivrittam Nivritta Prasavam. These are all adjective to the Prakriti. So Nivritta Prasavam Sapta Rupa Vinivrittam Prakritim. So this Prakriti has been seen, Prakriti is seen by Purusha. It means the separation. This is the final stage. Here the discrimination is there. What discrimination it is? Purusha is seen, Prakriti is seen by Purusha in this stage. The Sapta Rupa Vinivrittam. So this Prakriti has been seen by Purusha. Purushaha Prekshakavat Avasthitaha Swastha. Now this Purusha consciousness is like a Prekshaka. Prekshaka is an observer, a spectator. So he is seeing withdrawn from all the functions, and it is witnessed by this Purusha. Now in the 19th Karika, after 18th Karika, it comes 19th Karika, where the characteristics of Purusha has been discussed in the different form. So there you can see Sakshi. So the Sakshi, the witnessing is a character of Purusha. Therefore, it cannot leave. Now this is also attributed for the sake of understanding. Actually now Purusha is not witnessing. This discriminative knowledge itself is the stage here, because there is nothing to witness. There is no object for witness. Therefore, Prekshakad Avasthitaha. Because here the Ishvara Krshna wants to bring the original character of Purusha. The nature of Purusha. The nature of Purusha is Prekshaka. The consciousness, the remaining, Swarupa. So this is the Swarupa. So Prekshakavad Avasthitaha. Avasthita means seated, standing by. He remains like that. It remains like that. So Prekshakavad Avasthita. Swasthaha. So he is established in himself. The consciousness is established in himself. Swarupa Avasthana. Why? Because there is no other actions which actions were identified or attributed with Purusha. Those actions were separated. Now there are no actions, no function of Prakriti. Therefore, Purusha is experienced, or Purusha can be seen as Swastha. Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthanam, in that sutra also it says, when Chitta stops its functions as vrittis, all the modifications are stopped, no reflections are there in the Chitta, then the observer will enjoy his own nature. So then Chitta is in Swarupa, and Purusha is also in Swarupa. So that is called Drashtuhu Swarupe Avasthana. So Drashta, the seer, the Purusha, is in its own nature. So it cannot go out. It's called Swarupa Avasthana. Here also it is said Swastha. Swastha or Swachha. In Sankhya Sutra it says Tan Nivrittau Upashantau Uparagaha Swasthaha. The corresponding sutra to this, Sankhya Sutra 234. Tan Nivrittau Upashantau Uparagaha Swasthaha. It's like a Chittavritti Nirodha. When there is no functions of Prakriti, Prakriti is withdrawn, then Purusha is Upashanta, the functionless. In the stage of, it is very calm, you can say the Swarupa, in the stage of consciousness itself. Similarly, Purushartha Shunyanam Gunanam Pradiprasavaha Kaivalyam Swarupa Pradishtava Chidishakti. This is in last sutra of Yoga Sutra. It says the same thing. So now Purushartha Shunyanam, all the Purusharthas or functions of or objects of Prakriti fulfilled. So then Purushartha Shunya, there is no object or no function of object. So then the subject as Purusha, Gunanam Pradiprasava, the gunas, all the three gunas will stop their functioning, they will stop their production, the Pradiprasava. Then Kaivalya Swarupa Pradishtha Chidishakti. That is defined here. The same thing we can bring over here also. So Kaivalya, the ultimate aloneness of Purusha. And Swarupa Pradishtha. Now what to say about this aloneness? We can say the Purusha, the consciousness is its own Swarupa. The consciousness is its own nature. So that is the stage. Then what remains? Chidishaktiriti. The potency of or the Shakti, the power of consciousness remains. The power of consciousness remains. That is what it said, Prekshagavad Avasthita. The word here is used, Prekshagavad, but we have to think about the consciousness itself. So now Prekshagavad Sthitaha Swasthaha. So it remains the Prakriti as it is. Now Prakriti does not cease to exist. We have to remember here, Prakriti still exists. Now in what form? As Prekshagavad Avasthitaha Swasthaha. In this stage, inactivity of Purusha, or it is connected to Purusha without activities. But it is not said it is a stage of equilibrium. No. It is different from Mahapralaya. It is not Mahapralaya here. So, in that Mahapralaya, it is said that it is in stage of equilibrium. That is Samyavastha it is called. The stage of equilibrium. But here the stage of equilibrium is not mentioned, because still this discriminative knowledge is there. So therefore it will not function in regard with that particular individual, but it exists. Prakriti exists. Therefore body will remain and all the functions will be taken place. Everything will be normal. So it can be said as a normal stage of Purusha and Prakriti. Now the next Karika will discuss with this point. Now both this Prakriti and Purusha, they are all pervading. They are not limited. And in this stage, even Linga Sharira and its function is not there. Therefore, the consciousness is also all pervading, and Prakriti is also all pervading. And then, how we can divide or separate Prakriti from Purusha and Purusha from Prakriti? What is the separation? How we can separate? There is no. How can we can separate? Because they are all pervading means everywhere it is there. So for separation we have to bring a gap. So without gap we cannot separate. So the next Karika will answer that question. There, you see, this experience is reality. Now what is experienced here is the reality of this philosophy, as per the Sankhya's philosophy is concerned. And in this stage, if this question is not answered, then they have no choice but to say only one remains. Because you want to make two parts of two all-pervading entities. Actually, it doesn't make any sense. If you say two are all-pervading, what does it mean? There is no sense like that. The all-pervading can be one. Omnipresent can be one. There cannot be two omnipresent entities. So this is a problem with this philosophy when we ask the question. But they answer, they say, when you say two entities cannot be omnipresent, all-pervading. You are thinking the entities with parts, with some parts, something in a gross level. This Purusha and Prakriti both are in subtle level, or they have no gross forms. They are the subtlest. Now there are no parts in Prakriti or Purusha, because three gunas they are one as Prakriti, and Purusha has only the Chaitanya, Chitishakti. Therefore, like the air and the space, the both occupy the same. We cannot separate. The air is also there, space is also. Why? Because they don't have parts. Although the particles are there, but the particles remains as its own nature. So it is not, we cannot say it is not possible to remain omnipresent, two omnipresent together. So that is the one answer they say. And the second answer, which is more reliable and better with the logic, they say, this Prakriti and Purusha, we are characterized with the lakshanas, or which is understood by intellect only. It means it is given the definitions or the character which can be understood intellectually. It is a definition. The Purusha is defined and Prakriti is defined. So by the definition you should understand what it is. It is not the object brought out or the material cause brought out and showing in front of you and saying this is Prakriti and you understand this. This is Purusha, you understand this. No. Only the definition is given. So we define Purusha as pure consciousness, and we define Prakriti as equilibrium of gunas, three gunas. So by this definition, one should understand Prakriti and Purusha. Therefore, it is said in the Karika before, Anumanas, only by inference one can understand what Purusha is, what Prakriti is. Inference. There is no perception or the pratyaksha pramana. So therefore, it is intellectually defined. It is not by in the sense of in the form of object. So therefore, intellectually we can understand many omnipresent object, because intellect is not asking space. In intellect there is no space, because only you are thinking. No? The space is not created there. So thought process. So we have so many thoughts. Now when we talk about space, akasha, ether, then what does it mean? So the intellect have received, or it is taking hold of the space. Is it taking hold of the space? No. He has no idea with what is the space is, but space is understood. Now when I say akasha, sky or space, people say I understood what space is. Now how you understood? Because space is omnipresent. It cannot be understood. And similarly, when we talk about Brahman, people say we understood Brahman. How we can understand Brahman? Because it is also omnipresent. So the omnipresent Brahman cannot be limited with this mind or the intellect which is trying to understand. So it cannot receive what it is there, what the character is, but it says understood. So for the sake of understanding, we can say even omnipresent objects can be understood ideologically or by definitions. The space or Brahman or whatever, omnipresent, whatever we say, even air is in one level we can say air is also omnipresent. So air is also understood. So air, we can understand air by another means, but that is understood. Everywhere air is there, so that we can receive it. So therefore, intellect has this special quality to understand more than one omnipresent without receiving it, without making a limitation to it. It is unlimited. Similarly, infinite. When we say infinite, so how we understand infinite? Infinite is understood by finite object. Infinite cannot be understood. So, like that. So therefore, here they say, this is the argument. Now the next Karika will say, they are all pervading, although they are all pervading, but they are together. So the conjunction, the union what we discussed in 20th Karika is also remains in a cosmic level, in a cosmic level and the omnipresent level. So it is omnipresent with this conjunction. Why? Because both are there, Purusha and Prakriti. So there is no break of this samyoga. Now what is broken? What we divided is, by discrimination, we divided the confusion by the intellect, and intellect is separated from the confusion. So the confusion made by intellect, and now intellect separate the confusion. That's all. That is all what we have done now. So therefore, there is no actual separation. Actual separation is like two objects we connected first, now it is separated. No. There is no actual union and actual separation. The reflection is said to be union, Therefore, the reflection will remain at union, but we will understand this is reflection. The reflection is understood. So reflection, when reflection is understood, so then there is no confusion. So the separation is there. So you know what is sunlight and what is the object where the reflection is, the surface of the reflection as mirror. Now mirror is separate and sunlight is separate. Why? Because we understood it. Although it is reflecting. If you keep the mirror outside, after that also it will reflect. So you cannot stop the reflection. Therefore you cannot stop the conjunction of Prakriti and Purusha. So normally this point is not clearly understood by Sankhya philosophers, or when we talk about Sankhya, people say there is a separation of Prakriti and Purusha, that is the ultimate discrimination by Sankhya, but they don't say that there is no actual union and there is no actual separation. The union is a reflection. Union is also reflection. Therefore, let it be there. The reflection would be there, and why you want to separate it? Because if water is there, sun will be reflected. Only you can know that this is water, this is original sun, and this is a reflection. So this you can understand that much. So that much is enough for your purpose. Now why you want to remove the whole reflection from the water? So it is not needed, and why there is no object. Therefore, let it be there. The Purusha Prakriti Samyoga will remain there. This is very practical and logical point they have accepted. Otherwise, if they they would have said this separation, then nobody could understand how it is possible, because two omnipresent cannot be separated or cannot be united. Drishta maya ityupekshaka eko drishtahamityuparamatanya. दृष्टामयेत्युपेक्षक एको दृष्टाहमित्युपरमत्यन्या. सदि संयोगे तयोः प्रयोजनं नास्ति सर्गस्य. Now you see again one interesting point he has brought. Drishta maya ityu upekshakaha eko. Now this drishta maya ityupekshakaha, the Prakriti, the Purusha thinks that I have been seen. No, Prakriti has been seen by Purusha. So Drishta Prakriti. So the Prakriti has been seen in the sense experienced by me. It is over. Now there is no requirement from my side. So the Drishta Maya iti upekshakaha ekaha. So upekshakaha means the Purusha become indifferent, unaffected, unattached. So Purusha ceased to consider Prakriti now. There is no consideration of Prakriti. So Drishta Maya iti upekshakaha. So this Drishta is passive participle, and therefore the Maya is used. The third curse is used. So maya drishta iti upekshakaha ekaha purushaha. Now what Prakriti thinks, drishtahamiti uparamathyanya. As we saw in the 61 Karika, the Prakriti thinks, oh, I have been seen, experienced. So Prakriti also withdraws. So drishtahamiti uparamati anya Prakriti. So therefore, now Prakriti ceases to act and Purusha ceases to consider. So there is no chance of connection. That is what it said. So we want to just convey the idea there. Because before there was a reflection and there was a confusion of both. Because the Purusha was thinking the object is mine. The Chitta or whatever is happening in the Chitta is mine and I am with that. So this confusion made all the enjoyments and samsara, transmigrations and all sorrow, happiness, enjoyment, everything, all the problems. So now he is not considering that because of the discriminative knowledge. So this is the stage of discriminative knowledge. Now he says sadi samyogepi tayoho. Even though the conjunction is there, existing, continuing the conjunction, sadi samyogepi. So he is not denying that samyoga is not there. Samyoga is there, but the action and consideration is not there. Therefore, there is no need for action. We don't want. So, sati samyogepi tayoho, although the conjunction still remains, continuing the conjunction, but prayojanam nasti sargasya. So now there is no creation because there is no purpose. There is no purpose from Prakriti's side. Because from Purusha's side, even from the beginning, there was no purpose. So from Prakriti's side, the purpose is complete. The impulse of creation is completed. Now there is no impulsion from Prakriti's side. Therefore, we can say the creation is completed and purpose is fulfilled, although the conjunction is there. Now this conjunction is because of the characteristics of Prakriti and Purusha. That is omnipresence. Both are omnipresent. That is the reason of conjunction. Otherwise, there is no other motive from Prakriti's side or Purusha's side. The both being omnipresent, we have to consider this conjunction between them, the contact between them. The both are there. So, sadi samyogevi tayoho prayojanam nasti sargasya. So now, because, we know that the purpose is the impulsion for the creation. If there is no purpose, the action will not come. So why we act? Because we are aiming some purpose. So the purpose will be the impulsion or for the action. Like the purpose is triggering the action. It gives. So that purpose is not there, so impulsion is not there, so no action is not there. So no spantana or no movement is possible in this contact. This is the ultimate indifferent stage of Purusha. It is the characteristics of Purusha. What is said in 19th Karika. Those are the characteristics of Purusha. So that is ultimately the indifferent is experienced. Therefore, it is finished. Now there is no chance. But now the question will come, what about the jnani? Now This realized person who has the discriminative knowledge, he cannot work with body, mind. Why? Because he doesn't consider it. That is what it said. Drishta maya ityupekshaka. If that is the case, how the body of physical body of jnani remains and how he is living? That is not possible. And Prakriti is also withdrawn. Prakriti is not presenting the objects even for the sake of life. As it is mentioned here, it is complete. No, there is no function, no action. So how the body is maintained then? This is where we call as prarabdha karma. Something we have to bring, an extra element to maintain the body for remaining life. Now the body has little more life left. To make that life, complete that life, Prakriti has to do something. So that is said as prarabdha shesha, the remaining prarabdha. So prarabdha, the word means the action which is already on progress, or the karma which is already functioning. The functioning karma is called prarabdha karma. So this functioning will only stop when the force behind the function stops or exhausts. Until the force behind the action exhausts, the action will be there. So this is the theory of prarabdha karma. So the the kinetic energy, what we say, then when the action is on, it cannot be stopped. It will complete. Then the body will go. So this is there in the 67th Karika of Jivan Mukti that we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.